Welcome everybody to Sandra's birthday celebration, the Divine Mother Movement celebration. And we're so happy to have you with us for this second module in this free offering from the Divine Mother to you. And we're so glad to have you here in our network, in our life, and we hope you'll stay connected to us. We're doing all kinds of inspirational things all the time. This module is going to be also dedicated to the Divine Mother, and Sandra will explain it.
Right. So Marcus, I've asked him to read his spiritual poetry, and he wrote this book,
Odes to the Divine
Mother. Right. So I wrote the foreword. So what we're going to try to do now is raise your frequency a lot. Okay. So poets have, I'm going to read what I wrote for the foreword. Poets have very exalted thoughts in general, and if a poet is writing spiritual poetry, it's something very, very special for you. You can be taken to a new and higher dimension from which the poetry came. Spiritual poetry is like alchemy on the body, especially if you read it out loud. It comes from a place that not only raises your vibrations, but can actually make your DNA more orderly, because it is always about the poet's love for God and about the love of God coming back down in a form of special energy for you. This kind of poetry inspires you to have a new way of thinking. When you have a new way of thinking, the old habitual boring thoughts to which you might be addicted are erased. It should always be a goal to free your mind from habitual negative thinking. A spiritual poet helps you do that. Spiritual poetry gets you closer to God. Anytime you get closer to God, you get better in every way. Old habits drop away, you feel great, and you get more protection from the negative influences in life. A spiritual poet can literally get you into a different part of your own mind. This, in fact, makes you more creative yourself. Notice after hearing Marcus's poetry what happens to you and what you feel like doing as a result. A great spiritual poet gets you closer to the truth because he is not coming from his ego. One could never write spiritual poetry from the ego. The ego is a false self we made up to replace God. It's a combination of all your negative thoughts that keep you from remembering God. It is an idol. It is the cause of all your pain and suffering and despair. To be enlightened, one has to replace the ego with the Holy Spirit's thought system. This is what a poet helps us do. Spiritual poetry can lead you to enlightenment. This poetry takes you to a place above your problems. Sometimes you get stuck in a problem and you just can't get the solution because your mind itself gets stuck. This is when you need to do something different. At a time like that, it is best to do some kind of spiritual practice, such as liberation breathing, chanting, praying, singing, or reading poetry. When you read spiritual poetry, a peace comes over you if you are not in resistance. Our goal should be peace. A spiritual poet has quieted his mind enough that ordinary chatter is gone. He can hear the celestial voice and download the state of peace with his words. I have always seen that when Marcus writes poetry, his mind is closer to the state of empty. That is where creativity happens. The poet erases before he gets to that state. You can be refreshed when you read spiritual poetry. Sometimes you feel down, fatigued, or even exhausted from certain situations. You need a way to freshen up. Poetry is like taking a shower. Taking several showers a day, even if you did not get dirty, is a good idea because you clear your energy system. I always recommend 2 showers a day. So imagine taking a shower and reading poetry after that. It's a double refresher. Spiritual poetry can have a youth-giving effect on your body. Spiritual poetry can inspire you. It opens you up to getting the flash of intuition you need. Anything that sharpens your intuition should be something you want to have for yourself. It is a gift you're giving yourself. When you read Marcus's poetry, you're giving a gift to yourself. His presence, his love, his vibration, and his words will soothe you and inspire you. Spiritual poetry like this helps you love life more. The poet is in love with life already. He's already there. Spiritual poetry is all about God, and God is all about life, and life is the highest force in the universe. When you love life with a passion, life works with you. Life gives you an incredible ride. Everything becomes like an amusement park. Spiritual poetry can make you more abundant. It's coming from a place of opulence because that is what God is. God is opulent. Opulence becomes your normal state when you hang around the masters or sit in their vibration. Spiritual poetry is like a beautiful blooming rose bush, a fertile forest, a grand fiesta of abundant love. Think abundance all around you. Through Marcus poetry, you can gain an understanding of who the Divine Mother is at a deeper level. She is not just a Hindu goddess with 8 arms and a blue body. She is so far beyond that. It takes a spiritual poet to take us to the level which the Divine Mother comes, to give us a glimpse of who the Divine Mother really is, to bring you into the energy of the Divine Mother herself. And that is a real gift, to receive the energy of the Divine Mother herself and transmit it through words. I'm happy that you're willing to receive this gift. That was the foreword I wrote to his book.
Okay. All right.
I'm turning it over to Marcus now.
Sandra is turning it over to me. I hope I can rise to the occasion and not disappoint you. So I want to give you a little bit of my background. I went to art school and studied painting, and that was my passion. And then when I got out, I decided that I needed a little bit more spiritual instruction, and I got involved with yoga. And then in the early 80s, I met up with Rebirthing and Sandra Ray. I studied yoga with Yogi Bhajan for a number of years, Kundalini yoga. And then I met with Rebirthing and Sandra Ray. And then she introduced me to the Course in Miracles. And that became my study. And then in 1989, I met this gentleman, Tara Singh, and he had been a student of Krishnamurti for many years. And then he met Dr. Shukman, who scribed the Course in Miracles. So he had a very close relationship with her, and one could say that Dr. Shukman was his teacher, and he had more or less at that point surrendered to the Divine Mother in her form, and he kind of groomed him to teach the Course in Miracles and share the Course in Miracles. She didn't herself have a public life as far as disseminating the Course to the public. She was the one that brought it in, of course, but she wasn't the one that was going to teach it and have students and so forth. So I met Tara Singh in 1989. He had already been doing this work with the Course for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years. And then once I met him once, I realized he was my teacher. He was very interesting person from India. He only had like a 3rd grade education because he hated school, but he was one of the wisest people I ever knew and the most well-read. He introduced me to people like Tagore. Tagore was a great writer from India. He was actually the first writer who won the Nobel Prize in Literature as a native Indian writer. Rabindranath Tagore was his name, and I was very inspired by his poetry. And another poet who I knew about, but I don't think I had studied quite as deeply until I met Tara Singh, was Walt Whitman. And he's an American poet from the 19th century, very famous poet. He wrote this wonderful book called Leaves of Grass. And I would say he's maybe one of America's greatest poets. So I became very immersed in Walt Whitman. And for a long time, I had this practice of keeping journals. I don't know what you would call it. I mean, I just wrote a lot of stuff to myself in journal form. And then I noticed that it became more, the more I read Whitman, and Whitman is a poet, as is Tagore, they don't write in rhyme, they write in what's called free verse. So the form of their poetry it's very open-ended. It doesn't necessarily have to rhyme. It doesn't necessarily have to have certain beats that a lot of other forms of poetry have. Like, for instance, a sonnet has so many lines, like Shakespeare's sonnets have so many lines. I think they're, I can't remember how many, but there's a set amount of lines, and certain lines have to rhyme. But these poets, Tagore and Whitman, they had kind of busted out of that confine, and their poetry was more like a stream of consciousness. And I like to write in that way. And so then I noticed that some of my journals started being these one-page entries that would be on a particular subject. And then I would write for one page describing this scene or describing this whatever it was. And those became very poetic. And so that was kind of my form of how I would write. I called it kind of good for one page. I said, well, most people nowadays, they don't have the attention span to read more than one page, if more than one paragraph, you know? So this was a great form for me to just write one page. I would start at the top, I would begin to write. And by the time I got to the bottom of the page, I was done. And that was a whole idea. I had to express my whole idea, whatever that was, in that short amount of space. And I became very good at that. And that became kind of my form of how I wrote. And I also wrote in this style of kind of open-endedness that I got from Whitman and Tagore. Tagore wrote this wonderful little volume of poetry. It's called Gitanjali. I think you should all get it. It's like it's the love song of himself to his teacher, to his guru. And all of these short little one-page poems are his love he expresses to the divine, to his master, to his inspiration, right? And they're just short little poems, but they go so deep into the heart. And this is what he won his Nobel Prize, this major work, Gitanjali, was. He also wrote plays and so forth, but this little booklet of poems is what won him the Nobel Prize. And this other famous Western poet, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but he wrote the preface to this Gitanjali, and it's interesting to read his preface. So that got me inspired to write poetry. And then something happened that was, I feel, very significant. I had never been to Bali, and Sandra took me to Bali in, I think it was 2010. We went for the first time. I'd never been. She'd been a number of times. So we went to Bali. We had met some friends in India who had been to Navaratri, who were from Bali. So we went and visited them, and we stayed in Seminyak, which is this kind of part of Bali, a city. And then for a couple of nights, we decided to treat ourselves and go to this really nice hotel called the Oberoi. The Oberoi has hotels, very high-end hotels all over the country, and also all over the world, especially in India. So we went and stayed in this wonderful hotel. And one night they had hired, as they do every, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it is, they hire these Balinese dancers to come and present a dance to the people in the hotel. So this was the night they were supposed to have the dance. And unfortunately it was raining, or fortunately it was raining, because they couldn't have the dance in the regular place, the amphitheater. So what they did was they used the dining room, or the dining pavilion. It was still an outdoor kind of area, but it had this canopy over it, right? So they set the thing up to do in the dining pavilion, and they had chairs and so forth. But because it was now indoors and not so-called out in the amphitheater, the dancers were only like 10 feet away from us, you know? They were literally kind of in our face, right? So the dancers came in and they started their performance. And then one thing I realized, this was called the Lagong dance. And the Lagong dance is danced by very young girls. They start training when they're 4 years old. And so by the time they're like 10 or 11, they're masters of the dance, of this particular Lagong dance. And then by the time they're 14, 15, 16, they've got to move on to another form, because this dance is only for that age group, for those young girls, right? So they're dancing this dance, and it's just mind-blowing, the kind of dexterity, the kind of movements, the kind of rhythms, the costumes, the harmony, everything. It's just unbelievable. And I've studied art my whole life, right? But I hadn't really studied like that kind of art, or that, you know, a lot of that would be Eastern, Indonesian. I hadn't studied those forms. And this was just, it totally blew my mind. It totally it was like before that moment and after that moment for me, to see that kind of a thing, that kind of beauty, that kind of grace. It's like it entered into me. So while I was there in Bali and I had this experience of this dance, I found myself writing about this dance. So I had written in my journal about 10 poems about this dance, right? And what I felt was a very particular and very powerful divine mother energy. And any of you who've been to Bali, you know, it's like, it's no accident they call it the island of the gods. And everyone who's Balinese is totally focused on their spiritual life and their relationship to that divine energy. It's like their whole culture is based on that, right? Is their connection with their divine source, and everything they build, everything they do, all of their social structures, all of their architectural structures, all of their societal organizations are built around this paying homage to the divine and making that divine connection. So I was really moved by this dance, but in particular, their relationship to the Divine Mother. And this Divine Mother energy is very strong in Bali. So I wrote these poems, and then I just kept writing poems to the Divine Mother. I didn't intend to write this book called Odes to the Divine Mother, but out of this deep experience I had with the dancers, and I began to write about this dance, and I had these 10 poems. And then we left Bali, of course, and we moved on. And then my realization was that the Divine Mother is in everything, right? So the Divine Mother is everything manifested in the universe, every particle of dust, every drop of water, every piece of furniture in your house, you know, every cell in your body, every molecule of air that you breathe, that's all immersed in the Divine Mother. So I began to have this gratitude for life deeper than I ever had, and also a relationship with this Divine Mother energy. So as I wrote those 10 poems to these dancers, I found myself seeing the Divine Mother once we left Bali, seeing the Divine Mother in the coffee cup, in the sound of the traffic outside. You know, I was beginning to see the Divine Mother in all experiences, and I would just sit down and I would write. So, well, this kept up for like 4 years. I had this journal that I wrote these I called them Odes to the Divine Mother. And then I don't know if Barbara's still here, but we were living in Nashville. And Barbara one day saw this journal and she said, "Oh, what's that?" "Oh, well, it's these writings I do to the Divine Mother." And she said, "Well, is it transcribed?" And I said, "No, they're just in this journal, handwritten." And so she said, "Well, give it to me and I'll type them up." Well, you know what a task that is? First of all, to read somebody's handwriting is a task in itself. And then to have like 300 of these handwritten things to type up. Well, Barbara typed them all up. And so then I had it all in an electronic form. And then of course, Leah, our other publishing angel, said, "Well, why don't you publish those as Odes to the Divine Mother?" I said, well, okay, maybe we should think about it. So we started putting that book together. And then the other thing that's significant, getting back to telling you that I went to art school, right? So when I first got together with Sandra, I didn't have a studio. I'd been painting for 30 years by then. I left everything behind. I had a studio in Philadelphia. I didn't have one anymore, nothing. So Sandra said, "Well, why don't you just paint in the trainings, just while I'm teaching, you're going to be over there painting Babaji or something." Well, many of my paintings, I painted the Divine Mother. I had this little picture of Amaji that I used for a model. And I would just, be over there painting one of the spiritual masters. So over the years, I amassed all these paintings of the Divine Mother. And then traveling around the world with Sandra, I would see statues of the Divine Mother. We would go to, the Vatican and see Michelangelo's Pieta, which, is the Divine Mother. So I'd have all these great paintings and images of the Divine Mother. So then the Odes to the Divine Mother book became kind of a combination. Lee and I discussed, well, maybe it should be artwork and the poems. So that kind of back and forth balance of my paintings, my images of statues and images of very strong images that I felt the Divine Mother energy were in those, this combination of the odes and then these visual things. It's like the paintings were visual poems and the poems were verbal paintings, and this kind of interplay back and forth was so delightful to me. And then that's what the Odes to the Divine Mother became. So it took us a while to put it together, but we did. And then it became published as Odes to the Divine Mother. And this is actually a painting I did in Melbourne, Australia. I don't know what year, but that was done in Melbourne, Australia on the cover. Now, it's gone through it's been out there for a few years. Right now, it's actually only available on Amazon as a used book. You can find it, but it is up there as an ebook. But right now, I'm shifting. It used to be published in Ingram. It's this distributor, but now I'm trying to get it published on Amazon, which is easier to get. So that is in process right now. It will be available again as a hardback volume, but right now you can only probably find it as a used book. It might even say unavailable if you go on Amazon. It might say this book is unavailable, but you can find it as a used book and you can find it as the ebook. But it will soon be available again as maybe even a paperback and a printed book. The only problem is its color. inside and out, and that makes the cost of it fairly dear, but I think it's worth it. You know, when you buy an art book, you are used to paying $60-70 for an art book, so it'll be kind of in that range. But anyhow, that's my gift to the world, and my major opus is this Odes to the Divine Mother. So what I thought I would do today, since this is a Divine Mother Day, is spend some time actually reading some of these odes to you and showing you some of these paintings. And that's my contribution for the Divine Mother Day. So that's what I'm gonna do. And you can be kind of in that meditation, like when we did those meditations in the last module. That's kind of like, if you could just kind of get yourself in that space. I'll start this. And I went through last night and I picked out my favorite odes, and I got them all on this card. So I'm probably just going to go from one to the next and see. I might make some commentaries in the middle, but we'll see. We'll start and see where it goes. And some of them I can do a screen share and show you kind of the paintings that I did along with them. So some of them I'll do that, and some of them you'll see me, but some of them you'll see a screen share. So let's just, this is an organic process. I've never done it, so it's kind of new to me. I'm a little bit nervous. I got a little stage fright, but we can get through that, okay? And I think you'll enjoy these poems. It'll introduce you deeper to the Divine Mother and to my work. I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about the Divine Mother, but it's my vision of that is coming through. So let me just go for it. I'm going to do some screen shares, and I think I'm going to start with the screen share because I want to show you this image of these Balinese dancers. So this is what these Balinese dancers look like, if you can believe it. It's kind of amazing. And they're like, she's only maybe, I don't know, 10 years old, 11 years old. Like I say, by the time they reach 16, they move on to other forms of dance. So this ode is called Divine Mother of Little Dancing One. Divine Mother of this universe, unto my eyes you spread your small body in dance before me, as perfection in the infinite movements of a child's heart. Your beauty rushes into me as if I'm transfixed. Your tiny torso, the graceful tool of feminine wisdom, so evolved in its offerings of sensual bliss to the male center of my total love for you. You come unasked into my space of receptivity, never waiting for my readiness before you lay your gifts at my feet. How could I have merited this supreme grace of your love, given to me as though I am the one man left standing on this earth, the one blessed to receive your innocence and joy beyond any measure of what can be seen or heard through the flesh. Yet there you are before me in perfected body, with the poise and certainty of a god, transcendent of any age, to make you as it wills, beyond time and space, beyond the meager man-made gestures that fall short in trying to reach the heights of your being. Civilizations come and go, eons pass to evolve a culture toward the good, but these can only watch you in your awesome magnificence. Thousands of breaths you take in your dance of the cosmos in front of me, Each breath, a million molecules of life you breathe in and breathe out. Yet the whole Roman Empire could fit its entire aspirations on the millionth portion of one breath. The whole outpouring of the Western world evolved only to raise itself high enough to touch the humble grace of your tiny feet. O Holy Mother of this little one, I am the servant of you. I am your pen and voice that sings your praises day and night as you weave your odes into me entirely. Let me surrender to you completely myself, to the source of my desire, the source of life. Dance this precious moment into my heart and extend it forever. Well, that's one of the odes I wrote to these dancers, and that kind of got me going. So those 10 odes, we decided, Lee and I, we kind of debated, well, should those be in? Should they not be in? But I thought it was very important to have those in because in my introduction, I kind of laid it out like I just explained to you, where the odes came from and how they got first inspired would be from these Balinese dancers. So this is my actual first ode. These are Sandras Feet on our wedding day. That would be April 4th, 2009 in Harakan. We got married at the Divine Mother's fire at Babaji's ashram. Yeah, so those are Sandras Feet. We had just climbed up Mount Kailash the day before, so our feet were pretty wiped. And a few days later, Sandra lost a couple of her toenails. So I'm glad we got this picture before that happened. But it was kind of a hike up there. But these are Sandra's feet on the day of our wedding with the henna. And this is my first ode. And I think this is what kind of inspired me to keep going. You know, you have to understand, like, okay, this is ode number 1. Well, when you're writing ode number 1, there's 364 odes that you haven't even thought about yet, right? So you don't even know quite where you're going, but you start somewhere, and this is where I started. So this is number 1. I am at your feet. I am at your feet, forever at your feet. To me, that is higher than Mount Everest. You are beyond the stars. Your toes are the very galaxies I cannot comprehend. To touch them is to rise higher than I have ever gone. To leave this world a moment in my contemplation of you is to travel light years past my familiar places, past the planets of this solar system, past my place on Earth in this small body of flesh and bone, into another realm of divine perfection. I cannot fathom you, but nonetheless, my certainty grows of your omnipresent existence in everything I can sense, and in everything so far beyond what I can sense. Even my thought falls short of conceiving your immensity. I am silenced for a while in gratitude, knowing your tender loving care surrounds me in all time and space. Your caresses upon my soul reassure my inner child walking ahead of you that my mother will always be there, just a half step behind me to guide my steps and cushion any fall. O Mother, I sing my praises to you as I enter into a new life. Purge me of all guile. Make me your servant more and more. Come into me completely and inspire my life to be an action of beauty for you. So I wrote that, I don't know, maybe on my wedding day, I'm not sure, but it would have been close to my wedding day. And my getting together with Sandra Ray was the most meaningful moment in my whole life, but also I think meaningful for other men that need to come to a new awareness that the divine feminine is something to be revered, respected, and even worshiped. And I think that this new energy is on the planet. There are some of us men who see that, and some of us men know that a change had to be made, a shift had to be made. And I feel that my life is making that shift, expressing that shift, and being a testament to what that shift is. And this Odes to the Divine Mother is a major work that's going to usher that shift, where men can surrender to the divine feminine. And that hasn't always been so common, especially in the Western world, especially since the Greco-Roman times. You know, ever since then, it's been pretty much the patriarchy, pretty much force and domination. Who has the biggest weaponry wins in the end. So this energy of love, this energy of the Divine Mother, I think we need it more than ever. And men need to surrender to the Divine Mother. And this Odes to the Divine Mother is my form of that. So I'm going to stop the screen share and just go to, let's see. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. So number 2. This is called Mother of the Morning. And I probably wrote this in the morning, right? So that's the thing with these odes, is that I'm just in the moment, and whatever is in the moment is my inspiration, and it's lofty to the degree that I see that in whatever it is I'm looking at, right? So these odes are totally in the moment, wherever I am, what is it I'm looking at, and what am I inspired by what I'm looking at. So that's kind of how I compose them. So this would have been written in the morning. Mother of the morning, you provide all of my needs. I wake up to your light that filters through the blinds. The soft cotton of your blankets envelop me as I watch the brightness of your day fill the room with the glad tidings of a new life. Each awakening is a glow with new possibilities which are unlimited. I step out of bed onto your woolen carpet and stretch the body you gave me in those morning movements to begin my day. I drink your holy water and inhale the holy atmosphere of your love. Undressed of my night clothes, I step into the shower and receive my morning cleansing from you. Your water abundantly flows, and I am warmed by the strong spray that strikes my naked form and restores me to a fresh anticipation of the time I will spend with you. My clothes are spread out on the bed by your tender care, and I adorn myself in the garments of your natural fibers, clean and fresh. Now I am ready to honor you, Mother of my morning, who provides all my needs. What have I received that you have not given? Everything I touch comes from the infinite reservoir of your eternal love for me. Okay, so just to show you that anything can be divine inspiration from the Divine Mother, this next one is called Divine Mother of Electronics. Okay, everybody has to have their devices these days, right? Their cell phones, their computers, their, you name it. It's like we're in an electronic age, and that's just the way it is. So the Divine Mother is in all that stuff. Divine Mother of Electronics. Divine Mother of Electronics, you come into my world through the invisible ethers and through those minute cables that transmit your messages from all my brothers around the world. At lightning speed, I receive the images of my friends halfway around your earth. As if by magic do we converse, as though no distance holds us to a false separation. Into my computer you come. Into my emails you spread your messages. Patterns of light and color, letters and words, pictures appear out of nowhere, it seems instantaneously. Mother of this media of the electronic age, what plan do you have for the salvation of the world? Are we closer to ending the separation among us? Does the screen that we watch so diligently enlighten our hearts and minds to a higher love? I am your faithful observer in a system of information technology. I watch the flow of data come in and go out of this electronic machine we can hardly live without. Give me your blessing, O Mother, to keep my usage clean and clear of all motives and guile. Bring me, in those millions of electrons, the message I can be certain is from you. Send me the transmission of your confident guidance. Yeah, I like that one. Okay. So this one, your fragrance of the roses. Yeah, and some of you recall that story Sandra told when she got the painting behind us. It emitted the smell of roses for 10-15 minutes. So I kind of had that in mind. That's sort of a major piece of our mythology in this household, is this painting that emitted the roses, your fragrance of the roses. Your fragrance of the roses comes into me after the morning shower. Also, rose is one of Sandra's favorite perfumes. So she has all these perfumes from Joe Malone and Middle East and all these fragrances that are rose, right? So I think when I think of Sandra's perfumes, I think of the fragrance of the roses. Your fragrance of the roses come into me after the morning shower. I'm cleansed to receive. Your holy songs fill the atmosphere with simple celebration, while I feel the gratitude of a deep quiet inside. The breath you have given me is a constant reminder of the infinite sustenance that surrounds me. The morning is a special time of peace. The time the night turns to day and the heavens come down to touch the earth in a gentle arousal. Wake up, my dear earth, the first fingers of dim light seem to say. And as the earth begins to show her diverse cover of valiant growth, the sky grows brighter still in its morning heraldry. What was asleep before now awakens into this clarity of its own identity. And beauty beckons the people of the planet to take notice of a providence beyond their own making. In this moment of morning observation, I am in awe of your vast riches, Divine Mother, dear, that you have placed at my feet. Let me walk always in this morning light of new discovery as your presence comes into me in total appreciation. We make a fair exchange of inspiration. What you give, I receive, and give back in return to you in the verses of my heart, in the morning of its immortal beating, amidst the fragrance of the roses inside myself. This one is called Mother of the Present. Mother of the Present, free my mind from all concerns born of past thoughts and bring me into your world of the actual. I want only that, to be disenthralled from my illusions of memories that preoccupy my mind. I am willing to let go of them. Help me to give my attentions over to a different mind, one in constant connection with you. Already you are here, so when I forget to remember your love is all pervasive, I deviate into problems that keep me absent. You are always present. I am often absent. How can I be more with you then than I am now? You are in everything I see and touch. You engulf my senses in every way I turn. There is no place or time where or when you are not. In the quiet of the morning, your sounds come upon me in many ways. I hear the rush of air flowing out of the register, the hum of the mechanics that provides our heat in the background, a sound of a cup landing on the table that makes a staccato tap. Even the most subtle sound of this pen scratching words on the paper is a testimony to your diverse and present nature when I am quiet in the momentum of deep listening. Your symphony of sound in the present is always new, and I am the audience of your song of life that is more vast than any music born of memory. So this one, let me see here. This one's called Mother of Night. And I painted this Divine Mother painting in Estonia. Some of you are here from Estonia. Estonia is one of my favorite European countries. We go every year. We've been going there every year since I think 2010. And we know some wonderful people there. And I don't know, I have a love affair with Estonia. I probably had many good past lives there. So anyhow, what you need to know about this Divine Mother, Mother of Night, Goddess of Night, is those are the colors of the Estonian flag, blue, white, and black. So I sort of feel this is my Estonian Divine Mother. And it's interesting, you know, when I'm really with it, with the painting, the paintings always know where they want to go. And a lady came up to me, I think she was a doctor, and she actually didn't speak any English. And she purchased this painting. So this lady from Estonia owns this painting. I call it the goddess of night. Goddess of night, you come out of the blackness and blanket my world in shade, and bring your 1,000 things that I love into the quiet stillness of sleep. Yet I am up in my restless rustle of somnambulism. Dimly lit from below, the bronze bust. We have this Indian bust on a pedestal with a light below it. So at night, it's very eerie. It's sort of lit from below. Dimly lit from below, the bronze bust on its base casts its eerie shadow into the murky nature of my late hour observances. I feel the soft woolen fibers of the oriental carpet under my feet as I move toward the plush pillows of my divan and plop myself down to meet my midnight meditations. I hear this hush of you, my mother of the dark zones, which comes over me in this extended pause of my after hours. I am the listener to an absence of my thought. What a great line. I am the listener to the absence of my thought. It sings to me of peace and quiet when the activity of my day all but ceases and the ever-still nature of your 1,000 things comes rushing into me all at once. A crescendo of quietude fills my mind with the presence of each object that provides a note in the unspoken song of your soundless nocturne. I tune myself to the vibration of darkness and feel a deep abiding gratitude arise in me. Goddess of night, you envelop the world in a peace beyond my understanding. I give my eternal thanks for this vision of holiness in the darkened house of a silent night, in this my inaudible dedication. Well, you know, Estonia is one of the northernmost countries in Europe, and it's up by Finland and up in the Baltic Sea near, and it's not in the Arctic Circle, but it's up there, right? So they get very long days in the summer, which is when we go there. So we kind of get the best weather, and they have these crystal clear skies with no pollution. It's just, it's so crystal clear, the blue in the Estonian summer sky. And we stay in Tallinn in the old section. It's beautiful, medieval city preserved. But now in the wintertime, it's kind of like, you know, when you go farther north, you get long nights and very little daylight, like only a few hours, right? So this goddess of night, we've never been in Estonia in the winter, but I sort of was thinking about Estonia, night, winter. It's all part of that goddess of the night. Okay, so let me see here. 16. Okay. So this one I wrote about food. You know, most of us have a food case. Our relationship with food is something to work out, right? Well, I was working out my food case with this ode. Mother of my food. The mother of my food, you provide all the sustenance my body needs for life. You send your angels of air, water, and light into the fire of myself, to the combustion that propels my action in your grand scheme of things. You place the edible plants of nature at my disposal and instruct me to eat with gratitude all that I need to maintain my body. Your nourishment extends into every cell of my physical form. I am the expression of your love in action for all the gifts of life you bestow throughout the cosmos. I am the one who finds your presence in the day-to-day observations of common occurrences. Seeing you everywhere brings me intense joy. Hearing you in all sound tunes my ears to a higher vibration of divine listening. In many ways, you are my food that sustains my awareness of holiness that envelops my whole world. I partake what I need and then partake some more. I feed this nourishment back into my verses that I write to you. My audience is all you send, the perfect ones to read these written songs of adoration. I've heard it said, man cannot live on bread alone, but on every word that is uttered out of the mouth of God. Let these words be food to millions. Let my passion for these verses be transmitted into the hearts of many. I eat your food, O Mother, and am filled with the energy I receive from you alone to fulfill the tasks of your divine inspiration. I like that one. Especially that part, man cannot live on bread alone, but on every word that's uttered out of the mouth of God. This one is called Mother of My Sleep. You are the mother of my sleep. Unto my night would I go off into regions unknown, to places in the subconscious where people and events arise and invoke a fantastic recollection. I would sleep without dreams, yet do these come at times to be the shadows of my waking hours, the reactions of unspoken fears and concerns. O Mother of my sleep, give me a rest that is dreamless, or time unconscious in which happy memories come to me and relate only your will towards joy. This is the joy you used to explode a universe on the scene of creation, the extension of elation that could not contain itself in the void of pre-existence. Let this joy sweep over my sleep and bring a rest so sweet and serene that my days are restored to gladness by this nightly preparation. You come to me in dreams that are more real than any waking premonition. You give me guidance when my conscious guard is down, and I allow the flow of your inspiration to enter me afresh, something beyond my waking understanding. This is a new kind of sleep awake, a rest that resurrects me into the new life of your divine love. Let all other dreams born of fear be gone as the new dawn of your light. Sleep enters into my nights and takes over the after hours of my awareness. You are my mother, I trust, in these regions of holy repose. You know, in India, they honor the mother with a fire ceremony. And when we're in Babaji's ashram, at the Navratri, the Divine Mother Festival, they give what they call a Havan, which is a fire ceremony once a day. Many of you have been there with us and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So they build this big fire in a pit. Like they have, the Havan is actually the pit, right? That's the area where they build the fire. So they have this fire in the pit, and it's all decorated. It has these little steps, you know, around the edge of it. And then on one end of the fire, they have Shiva Lingam and Yoni, where the lingam is in. And through that, they make all these offerings of ghee, butter, water, milk, you name it, yogurt. So they pour these offerings there. And then once we start the ceremony, everybody sitting around the fire throws in some grains. They do these mantras, and when they say swaha, everyone throws some grains in the fire. So it's an honoring of the Divine Mother. And if you want to look at the deeper meaning, it's like everything manifested has to come from that divine source, right? So there's the divine source in creation, and then the idea of something, and then it starts to manifest and take shape. And now it's the Divine Mother. It's manifested into form. And then as you put the things back in the fire, they return to the unmanifested dimension. There's like the non-physical, then it manifests into the physical, and then through the fire, the sacred fire, it goes back to the non-physical. So it's a completion of a cycle. So this is an honoring of the life force. So this ode I wrote, maybe not about that fire ceremony, but it's about fire, because we have quite a relationship with fire. Mother of fire, in this winter month, in the snowy regions, we hover in warmth of indoors and appreciate the Mother of fire, the one who brings heat into our lives. The engineers have made their modern inventions of convenience. No more carting of wood stacked high in preparation for a long season of cold. Merely flick a switch and set the thermostat so heat will flow through registers in the walls and ceiling. The Mother of fire blows her warm air into the hearth of our appreciation. No missing of bygone days when chopping the sections of trees into manageable kindling took time and effort. This fire is controlled electronically by only lifting one finger. Even those kings of old had servants to keep the flames of winter warmth alive, as no one escaped the necessity of you, the Mother of fire. Now, as a king, do I live in the generation of technology, where even the man-made of modest means is warmed by the fires of your love without struggle or effort. The furnace is a combustion machine that blows its warm air into the rooms of our apartment. The automatic nature of this machine requires so little attention. Set it and forget it. O Mother of fire, we give thanks for this atmosphere of comfort in the midst of a frigid cold. Thank you for the gift of this flame of life, this energy of hearth and home that gives us protection from the elements. We are in your care without one frozen concern. This one is called Mother of Music. O Mother of Music, your modern manifestations stretch my listening ears to include the electronic sounds that computers can make. melded with the voices of singing angels, of jazz and rock and roll, played out of the amazing invention of the iPod, that small divine device of recorded amazement. A whole library of music in the space of 8 square inches in a micro digital form, replayed back through speakers no larger than a pancake. I am in awe of the technology you provide to spread the joy of music around the world. I have thousands of your tunes at my command with a click of a button and a circular scroll. Your love comes to me in the form of this little pod of perfection in which you place your sensual sounds so full of grace, giving new meaning to my listening. What do I hear but you in all sound, in all music of your beautiful making? Anywhere I go, I can tune into these songs coming through the wires, into the small earphones that deliver such a mighty blast of musical bliss. Days and days of recorded scores of sonatas from the library of your lyrical love. I cannot stay upon this earth as I knew it before after this encounter with real music of the spheres. Your eternal sound is within me now, emanating inward into the heart of my happiness. I dance ever upward into the spirit of pure joy, into the holy hearing of your cosmic concerto. How you guys doing? You're not falling asleep, are you? Okay, this is a sculpture from Bali. The Divine Mother is everywhere over there. Oh, and I just remembered that last one, like I wrote it in the days where you could actually have an iPod, right? You remember those iPods that had the circular thing and you'd scroll around? I don't even think they'd make it anymore. And plus, you don't have wire earphones. Now everybody has wireless earpods. So the technology has gotten even more advanced. And now we have Alexa and we just tell it to play stuff. We don't even have to scroll. You just, hey, Alexa, play blah, 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 and it will. This one's called Mother of Inspiration. This is from a Balinese temple, this picture. Mother of Inspiration. You are the mother of inspiration of that mind space beyond my own memory, in which the pristine expanse of emptiness fills my heart with the gladness of total receptivity. I dance the dance of immortality that only you can bestow upon the one who surrenders totally to the feet of your cosmic choreography. You create all life, and I am your eternal servant. I am the child who sees just the joy, just the sun of your brilliant reality. Come into me more and more, my mother of this universe, my mother of my total being in the flesh, and my total being outside this flesh. I run to you for my eternal care. You are the mother of every atom in creation, the mother of all manifestation. In this physical existence, I am your child forever, in a time and in all space. I am the Alpha and the Omega, at the beginning and at the end, which has no beginning and no end. I am the eternal child of your ever-expressing love, the offspring of the core of yourself, at the center of this universe of universes. Take me over completely now, Mother of all mothers. Your child is ready to be your flesh and bones, your mind of all minds, your action of concentrated action in the form of this small entity you spawned to embody the power of your infinite presence on the stage of human existence. I would be yours completely now. Let me sing your praises in this world that has all but forgotten you. One thing you notice, poetry and even liberation breathing, or any spiritual thing that you dedicate your attention to, it takes some stamina. Like, how many of us have been in a breathwork session where we know we should be breathing another 20 minutes, but we want to jump up and run out of the room? It's like you feel like you're done, you want to be done, but if you stick with it, some other dimension comes in and you take it a little step farther, and then you get the aha, or you get the release, or you get the whatever it is that you came for. But sometimes you have to get through that moment where it feels like a bit uncomfortable. You want to jump up and run out of the room. You want to get out of here. It's like no exit terror. You're in the room. You got to get out of here, and you don't know where you're going. And it's that kind of, So I think Sandras in that right now, but that's okay. So I'm going to read. We have another 10 minutes. I'm going to read a few more. Oh, this is a good one. Divine Mother of Courage. Divine Mother of Courage, I invoke the certainty of truth to be the guide of my actions. Give me the strength to make my actions consistent with my words, so that I walk my talk. Bring stillness to my mind to pervade my observation as I accept your love as everywhere. Within me is a place that can't be threatened, beyond all struggle and strife. Give me courage to live only there, in the quiet of my heart, where all problems are solved. Let me extend this peace into all my actions in this world. Keep me ever mindful of my source in you that keeps my life on purpose. In this purpose, there is unending strength to help me accomplish what you would have me do. I am the pen in the hand of your ever-flowing script of sacred songs. Give me the courage to speak the truth. Give me the awareness of your powerful nature in me, flowing into my mind and through these expressions of my humble listening. My inner ears are open to hear these phrases that compose the poems of my palpitating heart, to hear these beating moments of inspiration that travel in the bloodstream of my devotion. The courage to face myself is the only nourishment I need. Your life-giving infusion of courage into the very substance of myself bestows the boon of deep determination. Sandra likes that one. This one, Your Arrival into My Heart, number 45. I'm going to read this one, and then I'm going to end on one that I wrote in Babaji's cave. So hang on a sec. This is number 45. Your Arrival into My Heart. Now awaiting your arrival into my heart, yet somehow knowing your presence already there within the throbbing core of myself, I go with glee to the inner sanctum of my soul, which communes with you in the stillness of this sacred observation. I would pass quickly around obstacles of doubt and denial to that sanctuary of certainty that contains the timeless reliquary of my holiest remains, that which survived the eons of comings and goings, those fleeting lifetimes of struggle and strife, now here in this being of body, mind, and spirit. That I would know my whole nature in this moment and be inspired to write my verse based on a truth beyond my own making, one constant and pure, unaffected by time or perceptions that fall short. The eternal now that comes again and again into my mind, having only once arrived, never to leave. You are inside me always, and I would look for you there in the deep and hidden recesses of my heart's highest desires. Quietly, I am engaged in the lookout for your presence in my life. Not far do I need to go to find your impressions in everything. I observe the diversity of forms in this dance of Maya and come to love the beauty I see in the most common surroundings of your creation. So this one's very dear to me. Sandra and I one year did some work in Israel, and we went to Jerusalem. We had a great organizer, and he took us for a day in Jerusalem. And we went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where at least the legend has it that was the place where Jesus was crucified, and also they have the place where he was laid to rest in the tomb, in the cave. And they have that sort of a grotto inside the church where he resurrected, right? So you can go in that little grotto. You stand in line and you wait and you go into the grotto. They let you stay in there for about not even a full minute, maybe a minute. You get to stay in there. So we went in the grotto, the cave, the tomb where Jesus resurrected, and we were in there for a minute. And one thing I noticed while we were in there was the energy felt exactly like Babaji's cave in Harakan. So in Babaji's cave in Harakan, that's where he manifested himself out of the light, right? So he was not born of a woman, not born through a womb. Now, you can believe this or not, you don't really have to, but there were eyewitnesses who saw this happen. And then after Babaji manifested, he went up on top of the mountain, Mount Kailash, the old Mount Kailash, not the one in Tibet. He went up on top of the mountain and sat for 45 days and 45 nights without moving, without eating, sleeping, in full yogi meditation, no drinking water. So he was just, totally in a state of divine connection. So, I mean, even if you believe he didn't manifest his body out of the light, to be doing that is pretty far out. So anyhow, get back to this ode. I had been in Babaji's cave, and then when I went in Jesus' tomb, I saw, the energy is the same. It's the same vibration, right? So Babaji and Jesus are very connected, very connected. And this energy of the cave is what I wrote this ode about. So I'm gonna read this now. So this is From Jesus's Tomb to Babaji's Cave is the title of this one. And this is Sandra Ray with her little parasol sitting at Babaji's cave in Harakan, expressing pure joy. which he's so good at doing. From Jesus's tomb to Babaji's cave, and this is ode number 365. This is the last ode in this book. From Jesus's tomb to Babaji's cave, Divine Mother who resides in Jerusalem, would you have me be a witness to the most sacred spot in the Western world, as you lead me into the cave where he was, your son Jesus, on the day of his death? I saw the slab where he laid, and in that charged air of resurrection, did I see with different eyes. On that day of rising, did you infuse his body to life, turning a tomb into a cavern of compassion, proving there is no death that cannot be overcome? O great Mother of immortal life, would I invoke you in myself? Come into me and cleanse me of all impurities. Take me to the cave of resurrection and bring all my systems of thought, mind, and body into total alignment with my spirit in you. I am the son you love as well in my true identity. Be with me every second of my day in full and blazing awareness of who I am. Take me into the inner chamber of this transmutation. I am ready to serve you in my true self. Transport me across continents and oceans to the other most sacred cave on earth, to Babaji's cave in the Himalayan foothills, to that center of the universe of infinite love, Hadekan, the most sacred spot in the Eastern world. There did your spark of creation turn into immense light, and there did your son, Hadekan Babaji, manifest a body from your pure Shakti of total illumination. From Jesus's tomb to Babaji's cave, am I given this holy vision of your absolute truth of immortal life. I sit in the darkness of your love, out of which my Lord Shiva was born into form, not through the womb of a woman, but from the universal energy of your ever-present will to assist humanity. I am in awe of your power. I am at your feet, requesting my awakening out of the tomb of death into the light-filled cave of immortal life. All right, I'm going to end on this one completion. This is Amaji. She's the hugging saint. You all know her. You've probably all met her. I hope you have. If you haven't, please try to do that. She's still in a body. So I'm going to end on this. Oh, and she gave me permission to put this picture in the book, by the way. Yeah, I think it's really touching. This is my benediction. This is my thank you to all the women in my life who've been there with me on this journey. I thank the Divine Mother for inspiring me. I thank the Divine Mother for all her love I have received in this life that made it possible for me to write these odes. I pour forth these expressions to give back something of my gratitude for my divine consort, Sandra Ray, who is a manifestation of the divine feminine for me. I offer these odes in appreciation for my teachers, Sri Babaji and Muniraj, Tara Singh and Dr. Helen Schuckman, who brought forth the Christ mind in this age, Morna, Namalaku Simeona, E. Haleakala Hugh Lin, Kamaili Lauli'i, and all the teachers leading up to these meetings with them who opened my eyes to the light. Not least would I offer my thanks to Susan Sipos, my first wife, whose lessons of love blessed and guided me for 30 years. Therefore, I offer these odes to the main women of my life: Elizabeth, my mother; Sandra, my wife now; Susan, my wife then; Carol, my sister; Grace, my maternal grandmother; Catherine, my paternal grandmother I never knew; and all the women of my female ancestry. I also give thanks for incarnations of the Divine Mother in this age: Mother Teresa and Amaji, Sri Amritanandamayi. They undertook to live a life of the Divine Mother and inspire us to what that truly means. Lastly, I bow in reverence to all the women in this world who have ever suffered by the hands of men. May you and the Divine Mother forgive us, we men who need the direction of her true and loving grace. All right, you guys, thanks. We'll see you in 1 hour, okay? 1 hour. Sorry about that. Bit emotional. So we'll see you in 1 hour. And we'll have a mantra breathe. And we'll all get it. All right. God bless.